Alright, there are a couple reasons why you'd want to add deliberate deflex into your bow. One reason is to allow your bow to draw further than it normally should. What you're basically doing is deflexing and basically taking stress off of the limbs so that you can draw them further. What we're doing is we're actually going to kind of control where this bow is going to take set. Now normally a straight limb like this will take a certain degree of set, and with a taper like this it will be pretty evenly balanced in its set. Now set is something that's going to happen no matter what, but it's something that you can use to your advantage. What we're going to be doing is adding a little bit of deflex out here on both limbs. What that's going to do is actually weaken these tips, which are these ends, which are more essentially the mid-limb. We're going to force more of the bend to take place here. That's going to cut down on handshock. So I'm going to go ahead, just heat this up really gently and add a little bit of deflex. One thing to add is that when you heat this up, you don't want to heat it until it's soft and pliable. It should just feel hot to the touch, and then you just want to sort of push gently. You don't want to force it too hard or you might break it or cause it to collapse when it's hot. But you just want to basically accelerate the set. That's what you're trying to do. So as you can see, I'm just sort of pulling on the limb as if I were drawing it. You can also press this over a forearm or your leg, anything that will allow you to get a nice curve to it. Alright, so that's about as much as you want to do. You can see it's got a nice subtle deflex to it. You don't want to go too far because you are going to get some set once you string this up and the bow is broken in. So you don't want to go too extreme now or you're going to lose all of your reflex. Because we do want a little bit of net reflex, that's going to help bring up the speed. Though having string follow, where there is no net reflex and some net deflex, can make a bow feel more pleasant to shoot. So it's all about trade-offs. It depends what you're looking for in a bow. Do you want it to be really fast? But sometimes a really fast bow isn't that fun to shoot. It's not that stable. Do you want it to be really, really stable? Because sometimes they're not that fast. That's all about trade-offs. So that's good. Now I'm just going to do this to this side, and then we'll go ahead and we'll string it up for the first time. Alright, so I've got a temporary paracord string on here, so I'm going to string it up so we can see what it looks like. Alright, so here it is. Now if you notice, it appears as if this limb is bending more than this limb. But looking at it, I can tell that this limb is a little thinner. The reason why there's a difference here is because when we did our deflex and our shaping, this limb probably got pushed further toward the belly side. Now what that means is, right now it looks like this is bending more. But when I draw it, you can see, when I draw the bow, the top limb is actually flexing just a touch more. So this is something that as you shoot this bow, and even just drawing it those couple times, you can see this limb is starting to flex a little bit more. Once this bow is broken in, this limb will be flexing just a touch more. And this is the one you want on the top. So this is going to become our top limb. Now that's something you do need to be aware of when you're building these bows. Sometimes, at first glance, it will look like your weaker limb is, say, this limb. When in reality, this is the stronger limb. It's just been deflexed more. So it looks weaker when it's really stronger. If you made this the top limb, then you're going to run into problems because your bottom limb, which is actually weaker, will throw off the balance of the bow. But here it is. The bow's all done. So I'm going to let it sit. There are a couple ways to break in a bow. One is to shoot. I usually like to shoot a bow about 500 times, 300 to 500 times before I give it away. And usually I'll do most of that after it's already painted. But before painting, I like to let the bow take the set it's going to take by just leaving it strung for a while. It could be just a couple hours. The warmer it is, the less time it needs to sit like this. Once it's all set, I'm going to sand it, and then we're going to start painting it. Here we go. Alright, now that the bow's had some time to rest and to sit to get set, I'm going to take the string off. And you can see it's dropped down to no reflex. But the tips still pretty much line up in a straight line, so that's good. There's a little bit of string follow here. But the bow shoots really nicely. It's really forgiving. And I think it'll make a really nice bow. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to sand it. And then I'm going to apply my first coat. I'm going to be painting this red just like the Bloodwood bow. So here we go.